these people must think I'm crazy.
You want to give.
I can't kick that guilt.
This is going to make you so much stronger as a sales professional. All right. I am so glad you're here with your question because I've been thinking about this all week. Let's dive in. Tell me, what is your big challenge?
Okay, I'm going to try to explain it without rambling too much, but
Okay.
essentially that feeling of guilt after a big sale or any sale, or if someone can't afford something that they want, and even when they're super nice about it and I know that they were prepped and they knew what they were getting into and it's all good, there's nothing like bad going on, I just feel terrible about it. And sometimes when I make a really big sale, I'm like, I should be feeling excited and great, but I can't kick that guilt that's just nagging me that I am just a jerk who just charged so much money. I don't know. I don't know how to explain it, but like essentially that.
Okay, that is in a nutshell right there, something that so many of us experience. I mean, right there with you. Like, this is where the money mindset blocks come in because you feel, oh, how can I take this money from people? Is this fair? And especially, I suspect, because you love doing what you do, right?
Yes, and when I love the images and I'm just like, I just want you to have these. Like I love them. I want
Yeah.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, that is a challenge. And I actually really love this about you because I think we need more salespeople like this. We need people who, have genuine empathy and care for their clients and want their clients to have the world. I think that's the most wonderful thing about being an empathetic salesperson. So I just love this. But actually, we need to keep the costs where they need to be so you can run your business sustainably. Because if you're just going to be giving this to people because your heart wants them to have it, you become a charitable organization versus a for-profit business. So we need to get you to the place that you're making profit and that you know what that profit can be. So the first place my brain went is I thought to myself about the problem you stated was, what do you do when you have all these great images and you just want to give them to the client? And the first place that I went was I thought to myself, okay, well, what if, let's think of a different industry. What if you were a department store and a client went into the fitting room and they tried on 10 different pairs of jeans and they loved every single one? Tell me your thoughts on that. How would it be fair to give that client everything they tried on just because they love them?
Right. I know this. I was thinking about this analogy too, and I'm gonna
Yeah.
come back with my feelings. I don't want to be like difficult, but I want to just like,
No, be
explain.
difficult. Bring it.
Um, so I was thinking about that, and somebody commented on my post and had a great idea for an exercise. Go to an expensive store and look at all these things that you want that you maybe can't afford, and then walk away and practice that feeling. And it's fine, when you go
Yep.
shopping, you see all these clothes you want, but you can't afford them. In my head, I'm like, if I had a department store and I had all these nice dresses, and this person couldn't afford the dress, I feel like people just understand that concept and it's like, well, somebody else will buy that dress. But when it comes to portraits, when it's portraits of this one family and they can't afford these 10 images, it's not like I'm going to sell those to somebody else. And it just feels more
Okay.
personal. You know what I mean? I
Okay,
think it's the
perfect.
personal
Yeah.
aspect that is hard. Yeah.
Yeah, and I thought maybe it might be easier to understand. So I'm glad that like your brain already made that leap that okay, if we have a tangible product, yes, it can be sold to someone else. And then I thought to myself, okay, well what you're probably going to say, you actually hit me with a different objection, but we're going to cover both of them. The other thing is, well, what if it's intangible? What if this product it doesn't have a cost? And then where my brain went is I said, okay, well, what if there was an airplane taking off and hadn't sold all their first class seats? And now there's someone in the back who could very well sit in that first class seat, but is the airline just going to give that seat away without upcharging for it? So I think that we need to understand like where are our buyers coming from. So the interesting thing is you actually have two conflicts. You have the conflict where what if the person is very deserving, but they don't have enough money to spend? But you also had a problem of what if the client has a huge spend? So you have problems, money blocks on both ends. You have problems with clients spending big, and you have you have client problem with them not spending big. So we're coming at both sides. And where this all comes from is it's this feeling of you want to give. You want to be very generous. You want people to have this art and this experience that you've created for them.
Mhm.
And, in that way, I go back to the airline idea because, hey, guess what? It's actually really nice if your family is Let's say, like, has your family ever gone to Europe?
Yes.
Okay. So when your family went to Europe, did you fly regular or did you fly first class?
So we flew regular.
Regular. Okay. Were you upset that you got to that destination and all you did was fly regular?
No.
You were happy, right? You were happy that you got to your destination and you got there in the way that made sense for your budget, right?
Right.
Yeah. So meanwhile, though, there are other people who say, it's really important to me that I have this world class experience. I'm going to Europe for the first time ever, and I want everything to be perfect. And so I am going to upgrade to first class. Okay. Honestly, maybe not first class, business class, perhaps. But they might say, I'm going to make the splurge. I'm going to go for the best thing possible. And do you think that those people feel guilty or bad or wasteful if they chose to take their budget and upgrade to the next level?
I don't.
Okay. And then meanwhile, there's a third class of people that honestly, it's not about this is a bucket list and we have to go and save for this. There's a class of people that it is no problem at all to go first class. They go first class everywhere. They have the budget, they have infinite money seemingly, and they can just buy whatever they want. And they obviously don't have any issue with these money mindset blocks at all. So I suspect that your challenge is more with the first and the second type of person. Like you want to save those people from stretching, but here's
Yeah.
you, and you're telling me you felt perfectly fine flying coach and you were happy for the experience and the destination as is, right?
Right.
So
Yeah.
can you now see how for a client, let's say you have a portrait client and all they can afford is they're just like, we can only buy these 10 images. And you took 100 great images, but they're like, we can only buy these 10 images. In that analogy, they're still getting to their destination. They're still having their experience. It may be perfectly fine for them to have those 10 images, just like it was perfectly fine for you to fly coach. And meanwhile, we know that there's a world in which, if you could stretch your legs and be business class, you might be that much happier, but you're not unhappy with what you got. So, does that
Mhm.
all click with you? Does that make sense?
That does make sense. And then, um, what was I gonna say? There's like the whole other side of it too, where the mindset comes in with photography specifically, where like when you
Hmm.
mention like first class plane trips or even like buying a boat or something, I feel like,
Yeah.
and this is again, I know this is my mindset. Like
Yeah.
realistically, I own a photography business. I know there are costs, I know there are expenses, I know I'm deserving of making a good
Hmm.
income, et cetera, et cetera. But I feel like in the world, there are people who, a boat is, people expect that to be expensive. People
Uh-huh.
expect traveling that way to be expensive. It's a splurge, but there are like 5 million other photographers here who do a great job and provide
Yeah.
a good service, and they're just a lot cheaper. And I know,
Hmm.
they'll burn out or it's not my client or
Yeah.
whatever, but I feel like, and I just feel like when I'm throwing out these big numbers, people, I know they're probably not, but I'm like, these people must think I'm crazy when all other people in the industry are not doing this. And
Yep.
gives me the right, it's just kind of like a self, yeah, I'm not sure.
Yeah. Yeah. And I mean, there are plenty of people who they may just say, I don't need to travel to Europe. I'm going to go travel to Michigan for my family vacation, because that's where I'm comfortable and that's what I have the budget for. And we'll road trip it and we'll be perfectly fine. So not everybody needs to go for a luxury anything. We don't. And actually, here's the most wonderful part of all. See, when I started photography, and I suspect when you did as well, what year did you start photography?
It's around like 2011, 12.
Perfect. Yeah. So we're the same. I started in 2010. Okay. So back when I started, remember that the digital revolution was like 2009. So around, if you were before 2009, then people just didn't have photos because you'd have to know film, you'd have to, understand exposure. I mean, I'm here to tell you back then I was actually nervous because I was like, everyone deserves photos, they deserve them. I am here to tell you that you are not depriving anyone of photos. Everyone has thousands of photos on their iPhone. Everyone. So you are never going to take away the ability for someone to have their photo experience on any level. They can have their photo experience on their phone. They can have a photo experience with a shoot and burn photographer. And yes, they can have a photo shoot with a luxury photographer. So, just like there are different upgrade ways to enjoy vacation, there are upgrade ways to enjoy photography experience. So, what you
Mhm.
need to do is if you have doubt in your mind, and this is again why I love that you're the kind of person who's trying to say, oh, I really feel for my clients. I really want them to have everything, because this is going to make you so much stronger as a sales professional and as a service professional. So, what you need to say is you need to say, how can I be better than everyone else? Because otherwise, you're going to be racked with guilt. You're going to say, oh my
Yeah.
God, if I'm doing everything the same as everybody else, why should they pay me more? I mean, honestly, they could, and I wouldn't take that away from you. But if it's your internal feeling that I cannot justify this price unless I'm doing something on a whole different level, then what you
Mhm.
need to do is you need to ask yourself, what are all the ways that I do things differently? And I would encourage you to do this as a homework assignment. I want you to imagine 3 tiers of experiences. On the highest end is going to be luxury, and that's our first class experience. On the mid tier, that's going to be like you're shooting burners. And on the bottom tier, that's going to be like someone grabbed an iPhone and we took a photo. so, so I
Oh.
need you to think about, make your list and say, what does experience 1 feel like? What does experience 2 feel like? What does experience 3 feel like? And if you can't see that experience 3 has, at least 25% more perks, then there's something that you need to write with your process. You need to be doing more service, and you need to start asking those questions. What am I doing differently? What can I do differently? How can I make it more extraordinary? And,
Mhm.
one thing I can point to is even just the fact that the way that you care for your clients, because all this comes down to you care for your clients very deeply. You want the world for them. And I can tell you my experience hiring a shoot and burner, and maybe you have a similar experience too, was that there was not that level of care. They didn't know my name. They didn't know my kids' names. I mean, how could they? If you're photographing 3 people a day, even one person a day, every day of the week, you will not be able to keep all the details and the level of care and understanding high. So,
Mhm.
right there, like you're going to know your clients' needs, wishes, names. You're going to know everything about them, and you're going to deliver on a higher level. So, you have to stop thinking of it as, I'm charging for the photograph. You're not charging for the photograph. You're charging for the feelings that you create and the way that you see and honor your client. And that is
Yeah.
night and day different than what these other tiers will provide.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mhm. And if you need reassurance of that too, here's another exercise. So I definitely want you to do that 1, 2, 3 column and see the difference on paper, because you will see it play out. But the second thing I want you to do is I want you to go to your Google reviews and go to your Facebook reviews. And I want you to note, what are the clients saying about you, and what are they saying about how they felt during the shoot and how they experienced things. And that's going to be the proof for you too.
Mhm. Yeah, you're right.
Yep.
Yeah. It's just good to have a reminder sometimes, and that's the thing, like,
Yeah.
realistically, I know that we are providing a better experience. I know the reason
Hmm.
it's not a random price. I know,
Yeah.
and I need to really drill it in, I guess.
Yeah, and there's this other piece in there, which is sales psychology, that you also don't want to forget about. Because, if you say to someone, back to our airplane analogy, if you say to somebody, hey, this seat is up for grabs, anyone who wants it, come sit your booty in this chair and we'll fly you to Europe, then how is that fair? How is that fair for the people
Right.
who did save for that and who did choose to upgrade? How is that fair for them? We can't just have everybody have a free for all and get everything they want. Now,
Yeah.
what's going to happen is that plane is going to take off to Europe with or without the seats filled. So, just like with photography, if we sell 10 images or 20 images, there's roughly the same costs. But there has to be the perception of value, or else why would anyone ever pay higher? And
Right.
why would a client give more if they know that that's up for grabs and they can get any time? So there's this issue too. And I think this can help you because, again, you've got this heart of gold here. So you need to think like a middle child. Are you a middle child?
I'm the oldest actually, but everybody does think I'm in the middle.
Yes, because I'm a middle child. You act like a middle child. You want things to be fair. Fairness is so important. And it is simply not fair if you knock it out of the park and a client said, you know what? I love these images so much. I have to have all of them. and then they decide to pay. And yes, there is more work that goes into that. There's more retouching, there's more care for each portrait. There's going to be more of a decision around what goes in the album, what goes in the wall art. So, yes, if they buy more images, you are going to put more time and more labor into that. So, you should be charging more. But if you do
Mhm.
that and then everybody gets access to that total upgrade and no one has a difference in price, that is not fair to people. It is not fair that
Right.
one person should have to scrimp and save and accomplish their dreams and everybody else just gets it handed to them. It cheapens it if that happens.
Yeah, you're right. You're right.
So you're doing them a service by saying, this costs this and the other one costs more. But if you choose to, I think you will enjoy it at a higher level. And people do. When people spend more, they enjoy things at a higher level. And if you need
Mhm.
more reassurance about that, well, then you can turn to She Sells. And I'm trying to find where that even is. There's a whole chapter in here called Pricing is Perception and Price Signals Worth is the name of it. And how, one of my favorite chapters is Doesn't It Feel Good to Pay More, which is a riff on Payless shoes and Palessi shoes and how when people spent more, they were happier. And there's a story in here about how expensive wine tastes better. And you need to understand that when you price higher and when people have the choice to spend more, they are actually happier for it. So you're not doing like every way we slice this, you're not doing anyone any favors by cheapening what you sell.
Right. Got it.
Okay, solved. All right, well, go forth with that. So now you got your marching orders for your homework. Definitely do
Mhm.
more of this mindset work, more reading and mindset motivation. But this is going to change for you. You just have to keep on top of it and don't let those thoughts seep in because you should not feel guilty. You are doing something incredibly valuable and you know it and your clients know it. So you just have to let them show it by paying for it.
Yep, I'm on it.
All right, awesome. We'll talk to you later then. Okay,
Thanks,
bye.
Megan. Bye.
Want to fix your biz? If you're a professional photographer or aspiring pro, you need to join me in the best business group on the internet, Rise to the Top with Megan DiPiero. Ask your business question in the group, and you might just be my next podcast guest. Join now at rttt.life.